Good morning everyone. Today we will study chapter 4, metals and non-metals. In this chapter we will study uses of metals and non-metals. We will also study physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Metals and non-metals, they are very useful for us in our day-to-day life. If we talk about the examples of metals like iron, copper, aluminium, zinc, gold, silver, etc., they are used for making machinery parts, used for making bridges, aeroplanes. They are also used for making jewelry, etc. And if we talk about examples of non-metals like coal, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, chlorine, etc., they are also very useful for us, because we know that without oxygen we cannot survive. It is very important for our survival. Coal, it is used as a fuel. Nitrogen, it is used in making fertilizers, and fertilizers, they play a very important role in the growth of the plants. Chlorine, it is used for sterilizing water and also for bleaching. So metals and non-metals, they are very useful for us, so it's very important to study them. Let's start with some important terms. Matter, it is made up of elements or a combination of elements. Matter means anything that has mass and occupies space. An element, it is the simplest form of matter. Okay, and the smallest unit of an element is an atom. It is very important to note that an element, it contains only one kind of atoms. For example, element iron, it consists of only iron atoms. And during physical changes, the atoms of an element, it remains unaffected. For example, an atom of liquid sulfur, it would be exactly the same as the atom of solid sulfur and exactly the same as the atom of vapor sulfur. Now let us see what are compounds. When two or more elements combine chemically, they form compounds. And the compounds, they have entirely different properties from the combining elements. For example, water. Water is a compound that is formed from hydrogen and oxygen. Water is a liquid and it has entirely different properties from gases, hydrogen and oxygen. Although we have an infinite variety of substances in the universe, but the number of elements forming these substances, it is limited. There are no more than 92 naturally occurring elements. And the elements, they have been subdivided into metals, non-metals and metalloids. Most of the elements, they are metals, less than 20 are non-metals, and a few are metalloids. Metalloids, they have characteristics of both metals and non-metals. Now we will study physical properties of metals and non-metals. First we will start with the physical state. Metals, they are generally solids at room temperature. But mercury, it is the only metal which exists in the liquid state at room temperature. So this is the exception for metals. Non-metals, they occur in all three states: solids, liquids and gases. Examples: sulfur and phosphorus are solids, bromine is a liquid, oxygen and nitrogen are gases. Now let's talk about luster. Metals, they have a shiny appearance. That means metals, they look shiny. For example, gold, silver, platinum, and that's the reason gold, silver, etc., they are used for making jewelry. But the non-metals, they have a dull appearance. That means they are not shiny. Diamond and iodine, they are the non-metals which have luster. So they are the exceptions. Hardness. If we talk about hardness, most of the metals, they are hard and strong, except sodium and potassium. Sodium and potassium, they are soft, and these metals can be easily cut with a knife. Metals, they can bear a lot of stress because of their strength. And this is the reason that iron, it is used in the construction of buildings and bridges. Non-metals, which are solid, they are not as hard as the metals. In fact, they are soft and brittle. For example, coal. Coal is brittle non-metal. If you will apply force, if you will start beating the coal with hammer, it will break down. So the non-metals, they are brittle. They are not as hard as the metals. Next is sonority. Metals, they produce a ringing sound when they struck hard. That means metals are sonorous. But if we talk about non-metals, they are non-sonorous. And that's the reason that bells and strings of musical instruments, they are made up of metals like iron, copper, etc. Next is malleability. Metals, they can be beaten into thin sheets. And this property is known as malleability. For example, an iron nail or wires made of copper, aluminium, silver, when beaten with a hammer, will flatten into thin sheets, and this property is malleability. We all are familiar with the aluminium foil, which is used for wrapping food items. If we talk about the most ductile metals, they are gold and silver. Non-metals, they are not malleable. For example, coal. If you will start beating it with the hammer, it will break down. Next is ductility. Metals, they can also be drawn into thin wires, and this property is known as ductility. Copper and aluminium wires, they are used for the transmission of electricity. Gold and silver, they are the most ductile metals. If we talk about the non-metals, they are not ductile, and that's why we have never seen the wires of coals, because coal is non-ductile. In fact, all the non-metals, they are not ductile. Next is conduction of heat. Metals, they are good conductors of heat. That means they allow heat to pass through them easily. This is the reason that utensils that are used for cooking food, they are made up of metals, and the heat that is applied at one place is distributed all over the vessel and food gets cooked. Non-metals, they are non-conductors of heat. And this is the reason that handles of the utensils, they are made up of wood or plastic, because they are not conductor of heat. And that's why they do not get heated up while cooking. Next is conduction of electricity. Metals are good conductors of electricity. That means they allow electricity to pass through them. For example, silver, aluminium, copper, etc. Non-metals, they are either bad conductors or non-conductors of electricity. Example, wood, plastic, coal, etc. Now we'll study melting and boiling point. Most of the metals, they have high melting and boiling point except sodium, potassium and mercury. If we talk about non-metals, except graphite, they have low melting and boiling point. So after studying the physical properties of the metals, now we can say that the materials which are solids, hard and strong, sonorous, malleable, ductile, good conductors of heat and electricity, which are lustrous with the high boiling points, are called metals. And if we talk about the non-metals, they may be either solids, liquids or gases. They are soft, they are non-sonorous, they are not malleable or ductile, they are non-conductors of heat and electricity. Non-metals are dull in appearance and they have low melting and boiling point. This was all about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. Now after this, we will study about chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Now we will see how metals and non-metals, they react with oxygen, water, acids and bases. Metals, they react with oxygen under different conditions to produce metal oxides. Metal, when it reacts with oxygen, it forms metal oxide. But some of these reactions, they are vigorous while some are slow. For example, potassium and sodium, they are so reactive that they catch fire immediately when brought in contact with air. They form their respective oxides, and this is the reason that these metals, they are stored in kerosene. But if we talk about the magnesium and iron, they react slowly with air. Magnesium, when burnt in air, it burns with a white dazzling flame, and it forms magnesium oxide, which is a ash-like powder. And metal oxides, we can see here clearly that metals, when they react with oxygen, they form metal oxides, and the metal oxides, they are basic in nature. If this ash-like powder of magnesium oxide, if it is dissolved in water, it will produce a solution which is basic in nature. It can be tested with the help of the litmus. This basic solution of magnesium oxide, it will turn the red litmus into blue, which indicates that the metallic oxides, they are basic in nature. But if we talk about the non-metals, they react with oxygen to form acidic or neutral oxide. For example, sulfur. Sulfur burn in air when heated to form sulfur dioxide. And when this sulfur dioxide is dissolved in water, it forms a solution which is acidic in nature. The next example is when hydrogen, it reacts with oxygen, it forms water, which is a neutral oxide. Okay, so let's revise. When metals, they react with oxygen, they form metallic oxides, and the metallic oxides, they are basic in nature. But the non-metallic oxides, they are either acidic or neutral in nature. Next is reaction with water. Sodium metal is very reactive. When sodium, it reacts with water, it forms sodium hydroxide. In this reaction, hydrogen gas is released and lot of heat energy is released in this reaction. The reaction is so violent that metal catches fire instantly. And in this reaction, a lot of heat is generated, because of which the vessel in which this reaction is carried out, it becomes very hot. So that's why sodium, it is stored in kerosene. Some other metals, they do not react vigorously with water. In fact, they react slowly with the water. For example, iron. Iron reacts with water slowly. And there are some metals which do not react with water at all. If we talk about the non-metals generally, they do not react with water. Now we will see how metals, they react with acids. Metals react with dilute hydrochloric acid or dilute sulfuric acid to form corresponding salt and hydrogen gas. As you can see here in the reactions, potassium, it reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to form potassium chloride salt and hydrogen gas. Let's see the another reaction. Sodium, when it reacts with dilute sulfuric acid, it forms sodium sulfate salt and hydrogen gas. Non-metals, they do not react with dilute acids. Now let us see the reactions of metals and non-metals with bases. Only the metals like aluminium, zinc and lead, they react with alkalis sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide to form salt and hydrogen gas. As you can see here, for this reaction, freshly prepared sodium hydroxide solution is used. As you can see here, aluminium, it reacts with sodium hydroxide solution and forms sodium aluminate salt and hydrogen gas. Non-metals, they also react with bases, but their reactions are complex in nature, so they will be studied in the higher classes. So this was all about that how metals and non-metals, they react with oxygen, water, acids and bases. Now we will see displacement reactions. Displacement reactions are those reactions in which a more reactive metal displaced a less reactive metal from its salt solution. This is the reactivity series. In this reactivity series, the metals, they have been arranged in the order of their decreasing reactivity. As you can see here, if we go from top to bottom, the reactivity of the metals decreases. Potassium is at the top, that means potassium is highly reactive. Let us try to compare the reactivity of magnesium and copper. Magnesium is at top position as compared to copper. That means magnesium is more reactive and copper is less reactive. So magnesium, it can displace copper from copper sulfate and it will form magnesium sulfate. But the another situation, if a copper strip it is placed in magnesium sulfate solution, then copper cannot displace magnesium from magnesium sulfate solution because copper is less reactive than magnesium. So with the help of these two reactions, we have understood that displacement reactions, they are those reactions in which a highly reactive metal, it displaces a less reactive metal from its salt solution. And displacement reactions, they also occur in case of many nonmetals. The more reactive nonmetals, they displaces less reactive nonmetals from their salt solutions. So this was all about displacement reactions. Now lastly, we will see the uses of some common metals. As in the beginning, we discussed that metals, they are very useful for us in our day-to-day life. So let's see some uses of common metals. Iron. We know that iron is very strong, and that's why it is used for making bridges, automobile parts and machines. Copper. Copper is a very good conductor of electricity. It is used for making electric wires, utensils, alloys. Next is aluminium. Aluminium is used for making aeroplanes, ships, electrical wires, and in our day-to-day life, we use aluminium foil for wrapping food items. Next is zinc. Zinc is used for galvanization of iron. It is also used for making alloys. After this, chromium and nickel. These are used for the electroplating and for making steel. Other than this, gold, silver, we know that they are very lustrous. They are used for making jewelry and for making decorative items. Next is platinum. Platinum is also used for making jewelries, etc. After this, now let us discuss about uses of some common non-metals. In the beginning only, we studied that less than 20 are non-metals and most of the elements are metals. But do not understand that only metals are useful, and if the non-metals, they are less in number, so they are not as useful as metals. Non-metals, they are very important for our survival. For example, oxygen. Oxygen is also a non-metal. Without oxygen, we cannot survive. So non-metals are also very useful for us. Let us see some uses of common non-metals. Carbon in form of diamonds. Diamond, it is used for making jewelry, and we know that diamond is the hardest substance found on the earth. So it is used as cutting equipment. Next is carbon in the form of graphite, which is used for making electrodes. Graphite, it is also used as dry lubricant. Next is nitrogen. Nitrogen is used for making ammonia. It is also used for making fertilizers, which enhances the growth of the plants and also increases the fertility of the soil. Next is chlorine. Chlorine is used for sterilizing water. It is also used for bleaching and manufacturing of chlorine compounds. If we talk about iodine, iodine is used for making tincture iodine, that is used as antiseptic. It is a purple color solution. It is used as an antiseptic, and iodine is also used in iodized common salt. So this was all about the uses of some common metals and non-metals. Now we have understood that metals and non-metals, they are very useful for us, and we have studied physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. This was all about this chapter. Thank you.